A lot of people talk about making money online. And it's something I do quite a bit on this channel since we talk about the creator economy, how to be a full-time content creator, and start your own small business. But what a lot of people don't do is they don't break down how they're spending their money and how they're investing it long-term and what the actual cost of doing business is for them. Sometimes you do have to spend money to make money, especially if you like nice camera gear. So today I'm going to be breaking down how I spend my $25,000 a month income. I'm going to be talking to you about the profit first business model and also a little bit about taxes and retirement. None of this is financial advice, but I do feel that if people were more transparent about money and it wasn't this big, shameful taboo or everyone didn't assume you're bragging about it, then we could just have more honest conversations and it would help a lot of people become more financially literate and just better at managing their money. This is also not an income that I just magically earned overnight. I'm not a viral YouTube content creator. This is something that took me a lot of years of hard work, basically a decade of discipline. I'm 37 years old. So in reality, I've actually been playing catch up for a number of years because in my 20s, I was very low income and in a lot of debt due to my family just having a lot of medical bills, being in a single parent home. There was just a lot of things that ultimately I feel where maybe I was disadvantaged for a very long time. And then I've spent my 30s hustling hard and kind of putting myself in the place that I feel I'm supposed to be. Now, there's a couple of things you need to know going into this. One of the things I'm going to teach you about is something called profit first. And I'm going to break that down for you because then my expenses will make sense to you. So with profit first, I am paying myself first. Every time that I make money, I take 10% of that and that goes into my savings account. There are 4 main bank accounts that I have, and that's actually something really important in this video that I haven't seen in all these, how much money do I spend videos, the breakdown of the bank accounts. So I have a savings account and I pay myself 10% of all income there first. That way I know that, after all of my hard work that I have something that is there to show for it. It also is a good way to build an emergency fund. Next, I take 15% of all of the money that ever comes in and I put it into an account that's just for my taxes. This means that I know that I have the money to make those quarterly tax payments. If you're making the quarterly tax payments on your business, if you're a small business owner, then that means that you can avoid, interest and any penalties by just waiting longer than necessary. And so you can do that any way you want. Some people pay quarterly, some people pay yearly. Either of those is fine. Just talk to an accountant. I have bookkeepers and accountants. That's part of the expenses we'll get to, but I set up this account just for my taxes. So then we have my cost of living. I put 35% of my money into this most of the time. And this is something that just helps me put all of my bills on auto pay and do anything I need to on a regular basis. This is actually separate from my business bank account because for tax reasons, you want to make sure that you're separating your personal finances from your business finances. This is something that a lot of people who are new to making money online, where they do videos on YouTube, they don't talk about, and a lot of them don't understand it, but this is actually really important. So you want that clear separation. It's what's called the corporate veil. You want to separate your personal finances from your business finances. You don't want to commingle those. And then when it comes to my business expenses, I'm spending 40% of my income back into my business. Believe it or not, once upon a time, it used to be a lot more of a percentage of my income that I was spending back into my business to grow it, to scale it. You don't need as much money to start a small business or start a YouTube channel or start doing something creative these days. It's actually really reasonable to do. Most people can do it with the beginnings of a smartphone, but to make better quality stuff over time, you end up having to invest in things like camera gear, microphones and good lighting, faster laptop to edit on. Those things are very real when you're building your business or you're trying to become a full-time content creator. So I put 40% back into the business. And in my case, one of the things that made my life better was hiring people part-time and remotely to help me, and also hiring my family to be able to help me within my business. I've hired both of my sisters. They help me part-time with the business. And it's been a massive upgrade in my personal life and in my mental health. So let's get down to some of my actual spending. I live in the state of Georgia, so your mileage may vary on this one. But when it comes to rent, I rent a house. My younger siblings are my housemates, and I charge them $0 in rent, and I pay $25.50 in rent every single month. This might sound extravagant, but giving the needs of our setup and just giving everybody their space, it works out. And so I could save a lot of money if I charge them rent, but I want to give them every advantage and opportunity to build themselves up as young people. So $0 rent. I pay the whole $25.50. This might change since I'm actually looking at investing in real estate and being a first-time homeowner. So when I decide to go into a mortgage, I'm gonna look for something that is comparable to what I'm paying now, but I will actually start to get equity and build up net worth for the future instead of that going to somebody else and making them rich. For my car note, I have a 2018 Nissan Sentra. As of the making this video, I'm actually probably getting ready to go into a new car note and trade in my car, which I currently, again, pay $0 a month on since it's paid off. And I'm gonna get a 2021. And the reason I'm gonna get a 2021 Nissan Sentra is because I will now be in a new warranty. The warranty on my current car, it's pretty much expired. So I'll be safer and I will have less to worry about if I'm just in a new car. Even though it means paying a car note, I'll be in a 2021 and it'll be a lot safer. I'll be starting with 0 mileage and probably get an extended 5-year warranty. My other car is also paid off. It's a 2016 Nissan. I've given that to my brother, and so that's gonna be his car. And again, also $0 on that. It does mean that I pay more in car insurance though, because of having more than one vehicle and having a younger, inexperienced driver drives up your insurance cost. So any of the parents out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So again, just keep that in mind. Also, my lifestyle and costs are gonna be probably different than yours. I'm 37 years old. I didn't really make a lot of money in my 20s, so I've spent my 30s hustling to kind of get where I feel I'm supposed to be by now in life and set up for the future and for when I have a family of my own. So just kind of keep some of this in mind. Take it with a grain of salt. This is not something you have to feel like you have to be hitting these numbers or living this lifestyle. It's not the real point of this video, but it does give you some lessons and insights into managing and spending money as you make it, which is something people don't teach you because I don't think enough people really understand it themselves. And so this is not financial advice, but maybe it'll help you. I don't really drive a lot aside from to go to photo shoots and, just business meetings and stuff like that. So I don't spend a lot in gas when I don't have to, maybe $160 a month. I put it on a ExxonMobil gas card, which I pay off the balance of pretty much at the end of every month. I do that for the cashback rewards. I do a lot of cashback rewards. It's free money. So I know Dave Ramsey doesn't like credit cards. He's great on financial advice. I like getting the cash back. So sometimes I'll just use my credit cards, pay down the balance and be done with it. There's actually right now, I have 0 credit card debt, something I worked very hard at. Maybe I'll talk about something like that in the future as far as business credit, but 0 credit card debt is a big deal. There's nothing wrong with having a little bit of it if you have to carry it for your business or put it on a business credit card or expense things, travel. But I just try to keep as close to being debt-free as possible, especially knowing that I'm gonna wanna go into a mortgage and become a home buyer. Car insurance on both cars comes out to about $650 a month. That's because when you have young, unexperienced drivers on your insurance, again, parents know what I'm talking about, that cost goes up. So I'm paying about $650 a month in terms of car insurance. Internet is $240 with Xfinity. I have a business package for all the live streaming that I do. I have to get unlimited. I used to have to pay exuberant fees sometimes if I went over my data cap. I don't feel like data caps should exist. Maybe that'll be a rant at some point, but $240 on the internet. Across all of the devices, I do have an Apple Watch, I do have an iPad Pro, and I do have, my Android and iPhones. So with that, and then the fact that my siblings are on my phone plan, I pay $280 a month for all of our cell phones and my plan. And so again, if you're in a household, your expenses will probably be significantly higher than somebody that is completely single and is not responsible for any other human beings. So again, your mileage may vary, and this might be a really good lesson for those of you who might be younger as to what you have to look forward to as you get older and take on more responsibility. Now, insurance, when it comes to things like health insurance, renter's insurance, business insurance, all of that kind of stuff, like when it comes down to the insurance policies I have to pay, that comes out to about $900 a month. This will largely depend on your needs in terms of healthcare, vision, dental, but I encourage people to look at getting things like insurance for any of their property, whether it's homeowners or rental, or especially if you have gear and equipment, make sure you're getting insurance for that. There are a lot of different options out there. And you could look into things like Policy Genius to get good rates. They're not a sponsor, at least not yet anyway. And so there's just a lot of different things out there. Try and find a good deal, but also don't try to pinch pennies, because what you want is to be able to know that if something gets lost, damaged, or stolen, that is essential to you or very meaningful to you, that it can be easily replaced so that you can just move on with your life and not dwell on it too much. In terms of groceries and essentials, again, with a household, it's about $1,100 every month. Also depends on what your nutrition and health needs are, whether people, are vegan, what they can eat, whether people have other things like diabetes. You just have to look at eating healthy if you can and eating clean. And I think it's okay to spend more money on this. I know some people like to be very cheap when it comes to this, but when it comes to fitness and health and nutrition, when you try to be cheap, it becomes expensive in healthcare costs. So there's that. Also, if you have pets, that those things are added into that cost. So Tugboat and Rio eat very well and are very healthy too. And so they're kind of added into that expense. Now, something I do that a lot of people don't is I give myself a personal allowance. This is guilt-free money that I can spend on whatever I want. And this also helps me balance being frugal without denying myself. So I give myself currently a $200 a week allowance. This might sound extravagant, but it's really not. It's basically about $800 to $1,000 a month that I can spend guilt-free on whatever I want. So for me, that might be sushi, or it might be, entertainment, it might be video games, it might be collectibles. You guys see that I'm a big fan of video games and anime and nostalgic things. I also sometimes just like, doing little things for myself that cost money. And so giving myself a reasonable allowance like this just means that I don't feel deprived after all of my hard work. And then finally, overall utilities average, aside from obviously what I said with phone and internet costs, the overall utilities are about $500 to $600 a month, which I think is reasonable. You can save money as you convert to more eco-friendly things and power saving. It also depends on how well your house is insulated, but you can try and do whatever you want to keep utilities down. I just don't stress over it too much if possible. I'd rather just everybody be comfortable. Now, when it comes to that money that goes into, my cost of living, you just have to remember that I include my retirement and my investing in that. And so what I'm setting aside in terms of a lot of that currently, which is not what I was doing before, it's close to about $2,500 a month that goes into that. A lot of that is passive. I have things that go directly into my SEP IRA, and also I have a traditional IRA. I have a Roth IRA, but with me, I have to put it into my traditional IRA and then talk to my accountant about the backdoor stuff. That's all more complicated than you need to worry about. The point is, out of the year, I put $6,000 into a more or less traditional IRA account, but I have a SEP IRA as a small business owner that allows me to make much larger contributions because I'm both an employee and an employer. So I can make the employer contributions to my retirement, and that's significantly larger. In my case, I invest in those accounts mostly through Merrill. So it's just with my regular bank. It's a traditional bank versus one of the fancy online options. Nothing wrong with any of those. Another interesting thing I do is I have an Acorns account for investing to do passive investing into S&P 500 index funds. The way I set it up is not only does it do roundups whenever I spend money, so basically whenever I buy camera gear, or I do anything, or I go grocery shopping, the leftover change, if it's like $1.50, the other 50 cents goes into this. It gets invested for me, but I have the 3x multiplier. So if I, have 50 cents, it actually charges me $1.50 and it invests it for me in the market. So every time I spend money, I'm also investing in my future. And also I have a recurring daily withdrawal set up to actually invest for me. One of these goes into an IRA account and the other goes into a regular account. In my case, I'm investing daily $65 a day into index funds. So I have a very safe, stable, long-term, hedge for the future in terms of investing and retirement. So the main account, if I needed to, I could also tap that as an emergency fund. And then obviously the IRA is, well into the future for retirement. In terms of my business expenses, I spend $6,000 a month between my part-time team and my freelancers. I'm not going to get into each individual team member's compensation. That's their personal information, and you don't really need to know that. I know everyone loves to know what employers are paying their people, but it's really more a matter of whether people want to personally put that out there, and that's how you respect people's boundaries. The overall expenses in my business average now about between $100,000 to $140,000 a year in overall business expenses. Now, with making a $25,000 a month income, at least that's what I based it off of from 2020 for what we submitted for my tax filings. With my accountants, for my bookkeeping, I use Bench, and then they recommended me to my personal CPAs. So I have a certified public accountant team that actually handles the back end of these finances for me. So what I'm doing is I am heavily investing back into my business. Hiring a team has been very beneficial to me in terms of getting back my mental health and my personal life. So that's actually really strong for me. And so I don't mind spending on that at all. In terms of the core software and services it actually takes to run my business, something I might break down by itself in another video because I feel like this part could be a video, is about roughly $1,500 a month in software and services that are set up on recurring subscriptions. A lot of that is the fact that for my team, I actually pay for each individual team member's Adobe Creative Cloud software. So I'm paying for a couple of Adobe licenses on top of my own Adobe license. And so as you can imagine, that adds up. There's also all of the stock photo resources we use, Storyblocks, Epidemic Sound, Adobe Stock, couple of other ones out there. We have some stuff for another channel that we do that we get through MusicBed. There's just a lot of built-in expenses. Like I said, I'll probably make another video about it. And so that's the subscription stuff, $1,500 a month for that. I have a $20,000 a year hardware budget. This is something that is actually very important to me personally because of some of the other things I do besides what you see on YouTube is I do crazy projects like this in terms of the photography side. We're also building out a gear YouTube channel covering photography, audio, lighting, video, hardware, software, all of it. So there are a lot of different projects running in the background in terms of the hardware, the stuff with the podcast coming back. Camera gear adds up and is expensive. I've always wanted to have a full and complete photography setup. It's something that's been very important to me and that I'm very passionate about. And if you've seen what I've been doing with my photography, you can tell. So for me, that hardware budget might sound extravagant to most people, unless or until you look at what I'm actually doing with it and why. There's some shots that only things like super telephoto lenses that look like bazookas can actually accomplish. It's also possible that in the future, for a lot of the gear that I upgrade from, instead of selling it, we might actually just take my gear that I'm not using and we might actually rent it out, something we're looking into. There's also travel when there's not an illness ravaging the world. When that's not happening, I travel for public speaking, and not every event pays you for that, or maybe not even always up front. So we have a $10,000 to $20,000 budget for travel. I also like to do some local projects, and I'm looking at doing more of that. So again, there could be travel expenses associated with that, just traveling within the South. And then also I love and I'm very passionate about capturing stuff from national parks and more wilderness stuff. I mean, you can tell kind of that I very much am doing the things that I love and I've learned how to monetize them. And that's kind of what I try to teach people on this YouTube channel, is how to monetize things that let them build a creative lifestyle for themselves. Now, with regard to my taxes, it just depends on the year, but if you look at 2020, it's over $40,000 in taxes. So that's something that you have to look at. Like I said, I have those 4 business accounts, and one of them, it's just specifically for taxes. When you set money aside in your retirement accounts, it actually lowers your overall taxable income. You can claim deductions that are necessary for your business in terms of gear, your software, your services, and the payments you make hiring contractors or people on your team. I love the profit first business model because it means managing this amount of money, something I was never formally taught to do. A lot of you, if you're making significant money, you think that your life is squared away once you learn how to make a significant income when you're making 6 figures or more. But what no one tells you is how to manage it properly, and no one teaches you that. No one teaches you how to effectively manage your taxes. And yes, I believe, and I firmly believe, that everybody should pay the legal minimum required amount in their taxes. I'm not above the idea of taking deductions that the government and the law says you're entitled to. And I think you should be doing that so that that money can then be properly invested, that you're retaining into yourself, your health, your family, and your team, the people that you directly are responsible for in your life. But that's just what I personally believe. None of this is anything I did overnight. This is the benefits of a decade of discipline, and also just the amount of value that I've been creating by scaling things. I learned a long time ago that there's no way to trade my time for money and then still become financially secure and stable. And I think the last year or two has taught everybody that job security is largely a myth. And while not everyone may feel that they are cut out to be an entrepreneur, and I've heard it all before, the creator economy has proven that people can take things they're passionate about and build successful lifestyles around it, or pick up a side hustle that allows them to invest in their future. And with the things that you can do now with investing and the opportunities available to all of us, it is possible that something extraordinary could happen that changes your life because you were in a position to take a little bit of risk without hurting the stability of what you need to do for yourself and your family. Now, I know the question is always, well, like, Roberto, how do you make that kind of money? And I will be doing a video about how I earn my $25,000 a month, $300,000 a year income. But I can tell you the short version of it is that it is a combination of what I do here on YouTube, what I do with affiliate marketing, a membership website that I own, my personal one-on-one coaching business, services that my digital agency provides now, as well as doing brand deals and sponsorships. I also sell my own digital template bundle. It's not an online course. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually licensed a course to LinkedIn a couple of years ago that still pays me passive income. And now we even have a YouTube channel and a music brand that makes me royalties on Apple, Spotify, and Amazon. And that YouTube channel is also about to be monetized. So there's just a lot of income streams that make all of this possible. But again, at the end of the day, making money only matters if you manage it in a responsible way and you're looking at paying yourself first, building an emergency fund, saving for your retirement, your future, or if anything should happen to your health, and also investing in the people that you care about, as well as just learning how to properly invest for your overall financial future. Question of the day: what was the most surprising thing about how I spend my income? I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, look up my playlist in the description down below called Not Financial Advice. And then also, if you are interested in becoming a full-time content creator, I have a video here about making money online that you also will enjoy. That is linked in the description down below as well. Also, links to a lot of the things that I talk about and I use will be down there as well. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget, go out there and create something awesome today. Take care.